Hey everybody, it's Dale Jr. and we're back again for another episode of the Dale Jr. Download. Some big news came out today about our Bud deal, and we're going to talk to the winner of the Vegas race. Joey Logano's calling in. Let's talk about it. The following is a production of Dirty Mo Media. Hey everybody, it's Dale Jr. and we're back in the studio here at Dirty Mo Media for the Dale Jr. Download. It is Tuesday, and I'm in here with Andrew, Dalton, and Tim's. No TJ. No Amy. Amy here the first of every month. But TJ was here last week, not here this week. But we got some big news. I wish he was here to talk about it. Be kind of nice to hear TJ's take. Get his. He's always got some good, honest, hard takes on things.
He does.
Can always count on him for that.
I love that video by the way, that we put out.
I did too, man. God,
I hope people know it was a joke.
No one will know how hard everyone worked to get the video to actually see the light of day.
For that dumb video. But it was so good.
Yeah, buddy.
Hilarious.
So anyhow, if you haven't seen that clip, we were picking on TJ a little bit. You can go watch it. I think posted a couple days ago on Dirty Mo Media. Pretty funny. But we got some big news to share. Obviously, at 8 o'clock this morning, we announced a collaboration with our old friends at Budweiser. And as everybody knows, I love racing at Florence Motor Speedway. There's a couple events that happen throughout the year, one of them being the South Carolina 400. I believe this year it's a 250-lap late model stock race. The other 150 laps will make up the other local events and heat races and so forth. So it's 400 laps of racing, but the late model stock portion is 250 laps. I couldn't be more excited about the length of that race. I love the long late model stock events, and the Florence Motor Speedway is an old worn-out surface. You will have to be smart about how you race. And, man, I just can't wait to go run it. And I've ran it for the last couple of years. And, yeah, it's a great event. It happens the Saturday before Thanksgiving. And we reached out to Budweiser and said, with the opportunity around the actual trademark of the number coming up for grabs, everybody knows, I think, at this point that we've applied for it. Mm-hmm. It's a process that takes a little bit of time that is playing out right now. But we reached out to Bud and said, man, if we're ever going to do, I announced that I wasn't going to race in the Xfinity Series next year, and going to kind of focus more on what we're doing with the Cars Tour in terms of motorsports. What I want to do is race the late model stock car a little bit, and focus on my job as a broadcaster, which kicks back off next year. So I'll be broadcasting the bulk of the summer races in June and July. So I'm going to try to late model race a little bit in the first half of the year, maybe again near the back half of 2025. But we have this last race remaining in the year at Florence. And, so we actually was thinking about not running the race. And we called Bud, and I said, man, if we're going to do this, we got an opportunity to do something really cool. And we had some great conversations, and a lot of the people that used to work there when I was familiar with the brand or in constant communication with the brand back 20 years ago are obviously probably no longer working there. I know several of them that we stayed in touch with over the years. There's a new group of folks but they all understand the history of the 8 car, the red Bud car. They all are excited about this opportunity, which was really nice. They understand kind of. I've always felt like that. No matter what, I was always going to be Team Bud, right? For what Budweiser did for me. When I was starting my Cup career, I just owe them such a debt of gratitude, and so I was always going to be Team Bud, and they've been a company that has traditionally maintained great relationships with a lot of their ambassadors over the years, right? And I know Kenny Schrader that used to drive the Bud car still continues to have a really good relationship with Anheuser-Busch and Bud. and InBev, I guess, these days. But I really always felt like, one of the things that made me feel that way too was when I announced my retirement from cup racing, the commercial they made, right, with Lord Huron. And I'm a big Lord Huron fan, right? When I got my concussion in 2012, one of the things my doctor told me to do was go to a concert. That's the concert I went to. We were talking about that last week.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's
and
really
so
cool.
it was in Milwaukee. And so they made that commercial out of their own pocket, right? And there were some complications and challenges around that commercial, dealing with the trademark of the 8, right? Couldn't really show that. You could tell, but they still went ahead and made this sort of little tip of the cap that they didn't have to do. And, man, that just really made me feel great about the way I felt about them, right? That loyalty and that partnership. And so I always wondered if we would ever do something again. And so here we are with an opportunity to put the 8 back on a race car and bring back that iconic paint scheme and obviously take it to a racetrack that I really love and want to support. Steve Zacharias and his family, Jacqueline, everybody at Florence has been amazing, trying to continue to, have that racetrack serving its community and being a place for people to come have a fun time on the weekends. And so I'm looking forward to it. I've seen the car and seen, the gang upstairs in Junior Motorsports designing some merch. We talked about putting out a couple pieces. So that'll be out there and available to anyone who might want to have it.
Showing off one right here.
Andrew has a shirt on today.
Mm-hmm.
And so that stuff has been meticulously sort of crafted and designed. I have some people that work at Junior Motorsports that I have 100% trust in to be able to put together some nice merch for folks that want it. And I can't wait to see the diecast. I'm a massive diecast fan, especially having worked with Lionel to develop the mold for the late model stock car, so that myself and other racers that run this car could have their own car designed and produced by Lionel. And so it'll be cool to have that in my case. I got 2 cases at home that are about full. And so I don't know, man. There's just a bunch about this to be excited about. I know that it's going to pull on. I know it's going to be great nostalgia for a lot of folks. I know it will hopefully draw a lot of folks to the racetrack in Florence before Thanksgiving to see the race in person. Some may be seeing a late model stock race for the very first time. Some will more than likely fall in love with the discipline and the style of racing and the grassroots atmosphere that I love so much. You may have been to those kind of races in the past and just kind of gotten disconnected or separated. And so it'll be cool, I think, to have people reminded of why this is fun, why it's fun to go to your local track, why it's fun to be a part of whatever's going on there. On the other side, it'll be streamed on Flow. I hope it'll get great numbers for Flow. And, our streaming partners like Flow are so critical to the success of grassroots racing, so the success of these racetracks like Florence, Langley, all the racetracks that the Cars Tour goes to. Flow, the streaming partner like Flow, is extremely critical to the success and future of Cars Tour. So, I mean, getting their numbers up and getting people to see how easy it is to access this content and watch these races live is because I think there's a ton of people out there that would love to watch them and just don't know how or where it's at, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I hope this program will check so many damn boxes, and and we've talked about possibly doing another event next year. We don't know exactly where that might be. The Cars Tour is still kind of rummaging through their closet to put their schedule together, and we're in conversations about that and what that schedule looks like. I want to run strictly Cars Tour events next year, and as my calendar has always kind of been anywhere from 3 to 5 events, so somewhere between 3 to 5 events in the Cars Tour is what I'm gonna try to do next year. Again, at the start of the year and toward the back end of the year. But we're hopeful that we'll have another opportunity to drive the Bud brand around the racetrack next year. So pretty exciting. And I'm really shocked that we were able to keep this
a secret,
such a good secret. It's hard to do these days.
It was hard,
with with how diligent our media is in motorsports, and Gluck and Weaver and all those guys, Bob Pockris, they're all so extremely. Jordan Bianchi, he'd be upset if I forget his name or don't left him off that list. But they're just really great at digging up all the crumbs and piecing it together. And so I was thankful that we were able to announce this and everybody could learn this all at the same time. We had a little fun teasing it a little bit on social media with the photos. So that photo of the big giant can, I remember we were at the shoot that day. This is probably 2004-ish. And we were I had those cans, and we were doing a shoot where I'm holding the can toward the camera, and I went over to the guy and I said, "Man, can you make this can giant and make me really small, and I'll kind of look like I'm looking up at the can, and then you can take a picture and you can post." It was a piece of cake, right, to edit and put that together. But I remember doing that and thinking it was so funny. And
so that was your idea.
Yeah, and they never were going to use it anywhere, but we were just kind of goofing around in between, the real work. And I always saved that and kept that on my phone. We even had him doctor the ounces on the can from like 24 ounces to 2,400. And so, but I save all that stuff. I have folders and folders of all kinds of photo shoot content and pictures that we took back then. And anyhow, it's thankful to have that stuff, because in moments like this, it's kind of fun using it in some of the teas that the PR team put together. They put together this little program over the last 12 or 24 hours of how we'd roll this out. And we change you change your avatar and your background image. Everyone's and all those things.
What's going on?
Yeah, and then Bud's, Tony Jr. changed his. I didn't even know I don't know if he did that. Yeah, Tony Jr. changed his background image on his Facebook to one of the Bud cars going around the wall at Homestead, and I don't know if that was intentional or just by chance, coincidence. I don't know, but and we have a guest tomorrow.
Yes,
Tony Sr. So Tony Sr. I know we've had Tony Jr. and Tony Sr. on the show, but I don't believe that I've ever really been able to sit down with just Tony Sr. Right?
This is the first time on the show,
right? And go. I have. I'm really excited about that because, I've never really. He's not a guy that wants. He is not a guy that is going to sit down with you and tell you about his life, right? And he's never going to give you the opportunity to sort of dig into that any of that real history. And so he won't have anywhere to run and hide when he comes in here tomorrow. We're gonna dig into his story and how it relates to my dad, and obviously we'll try our hardest to go through that whole process. But he raced himself. He won races in dirt cars as a driver at Metrolina and other places. His father raced a lot on dirt against Ralph Earnhardt, and that's how I think that Eury families got to know each other. And so him and Dad married sisters, my mother and her sister, and so Sandra was her name. Yeah, that's Tony Jr.'s mom and Robert G. So that's how all that kind of connects. And him and Dad used to run wide open, and he's told me some stories about how they would be out cruising in Concord or Kannapolis. They had their hot rods, and I mean, think about this. This is probably 1974 or 76. And they're out cruising around in some old beater, and some guy had the front of his car low to the ground and the back jacked up, with kind of looking like a street drag. And so they went back to Dad's shop, pulled the front springs out of the car and cut the springs down, put the springs back in it, and went back out and cruised in like a 30-minute window. They were back out cruising after they altered the profile of the car to be more like the other guy they saw. And I mean, just you did when you were were a kid and with a little mechanical knowledge. And they used to work at the same. They used to work at, I want to say, Freightliner. I probably got that wrong, but Dad used to weld on tractor trailers and stuff like that, and he would quit because he couldn't get off to go racing, so he would just quit his job, knowing that they badly needed that type of a mechanic or technician, and so he would quit for a couple weeks, and then when he needed money, he'd come back to work, and they'd rehire him. And Tony Sr. said Dad would kind of come and go throughout the year, and I'm not sure about, I want to ask him about that, like really, kind of how all that happened. And then he just, all of a sudden, I remember I used to go with Dad to the Xfinity shop. Dad kept his Xfinity car, which was the Busch Series, at Mamaw's in that 2-car garage that was Ralph Earnhardt's, a tiny little building comparable to today's standards. And I remember walking in there one day, and Tony Sr. was under the car working on it, and I had never seen him there. And I asked Dad, I think on the ride home, like what Tony Sr. was doing there, and he said I hired him. He's working for me. So at some point, Dad said, I want you to quit your job and come work at my race shop, and that must have been a bit of a, there must have been some consideration there. Guys got all these years and equity work, built up in this other job, a real job, right? Racing wasn't a real job back then. And then they went. Then the story, the rest of the story is they raced together in the Xfinity Series, and then I drove for them, and then we went into the Cup Series, and then a lot's happened since then. I don't think we'll get to all of it. I mean, I know we won't, right? Because then he comes and works here at Junior Motorsports. It was, didn't end all that well. Wasn't a great ending. We've since, kind of mended those fences and are I think we're in a really good spot now. I love that man like a grandfather. I really, really have incredibly strong feelings for Tony Sr. and how he's how he impacted my life. They called him Rosie because he would get mad. He often would lose his patience and temper, and his face would turn red immediately. And you just never wanted to be on the other side of that. I mean, he would rip into you, and it was. He didn't have much of a filter, And as tough as those times were, they were brief, not often. But when they did get your attention, and it did make you think about the decisions or choices you were making, and how to maybe, avoid that, and going forward. I appreciated it. I would much rather have had that than no guidance, no sort of, no one lecturing you or trying to shape you or keep you in line. And so I'm thankful that people I'm thankful that individuals like that existed in my life, because I certainly needed it. And but anyhow, he's with Tony Jr. and Tony Sr. Now they're in the Cars Tour, working on Spencer Davis's car, and still they're at Fury. Tony Sr.'s kind of retired. And so, we'll talk about what he spends his time doing. He still works on race cars, still goes to the racetrack. He was at North Wilkesboro for the final Cars Tour event, and they had a rough night. And Tony Sr., he's as all in as he's always been. I think after the race, he was giving his peace of mind to Kip Childers about the night, and I think he's done that the last 2 races actually. So he's still still rosy. But I'm excited to talk to him tomorrow and kind kind of excited to see what he thinks about this deal with the Bud car.
Mm-hmm.
And we're gonna have a lot of fun with it. We got a month till we get to the event, to the race. If you've ever been to a late model stock race, this is kind of the cars that I drove when I started in the 90s. I raced a legend car for a year and a street stock car for a year, but eventually moved into the late model stock car and ran that for 4 years, racing at Florence Motor Speedway on Friday nights and Myrtle Beach on Saturday nights, occasionally going around to some other racetracks like the Fairgrounds in Nashville and so forth. But primarily I raced those 4 years at Florence and Myrtle Beach. And so it's we are lucky, so lucky to be able to still race at Florence. Myrtle Beach is no longer with us. It's been redeveloped, and actually the people that are at Florence and own Florence and promote Florence were running Myrtle Beach. When Myrtle Beach shut down, they moved to Florence and have since taken over that racetrack and really improved it. So I hope you'll come out. I hope you'll check it out. If you can't, watch it on Flow. Mark your calendar that Saturday before Thanksgiving. We're going to go out there and be there for a couple days. There'll be an open practice the day before. Come by, bring your die cast, bring any of your old Bud gear if you want me to sign it. You pretty much can, I think the ticket can pretty much get you access to the infield. We park right inside the racetrack.
Mm-hmm.
You will not miss us. We are right across, so the track is not got any walls except on the front straightaway, which I love. If you get in trouble, you don't destroy your race car by getting into the fence. You can just tear the body up a little bit, drag, pinning the nose in the dirt or something like that. But my point is that when you get there, you're gonna be surprised, but yet impressed, and it's got a very very throwback feel to it. And used to be a dirt track. Originally, when they made this track, I think in the late or early 70s, it was originally a dirt track, and there's a guardrail in the front straightaway that is now buried under the dirt.
Wow.
Yeah, and so there's some areas, so that there's an inside concrete wall, and just on the other side of that is a dirt mound all the way down that extends the entirety of pit wall. And under that dirt mound is the old original guardrail. And then there's some areas where the dirt is eroded away and you can see it. And so that triggers that that sort of lost speedway nostalgia for me. That old evidence of the original dirt track. It's really, really neat that it's still there. But when they decided they were going to put a wall up, they just put the wall up and then covered the guardrail with dirt. And so it's pretty neat. But we're gonna have some fun. Again, 250 laps. That'll be a tire management race. Those are the kind of races that I like. You got to try to go out on the racetrack and you're gonna run 250 laps. I think we get a set to start the race on. Then at 125 there may be another set of tires to put on. So you got to run 125 laps on a set. Now, if you ran as hard as you could, you would probably be out of tires in 40 laps. So you have to make that last all the way through 125 laps. So you have to be smart. You certainly don't want to get lapped or give up, and you got to manage how much track position you want to give up. But with a 250-lap race, it's really not all about that. It's kind of just about, trying to put yourself in the best position possible. But it's fun. I love the management. The newer tracks, right? The tires don't wear quite as much. You run basically as hard as you can the entire race. I'm too old for that. Not in it. That's not my cup of tea. It's not my cup of tea. If I'm gonna do
this, is that North Wilkesboro now?
I didn't want to call out anybody.
Oh, I'm sorry.
All right. So I basically, I'm gonna run 3 races a year. I'm gonna run the 3 races I want to run. All right, at the tracks that I want to go to.
That's the way it should be.
So hey, beyond, I guess my next Florence race would probably be Darlington weekend. We run the Cars Tour the second Darlington, and so I think that's going to remain the same on the schedule next year. So, so I'll probably run this race at the end of November here, and then the next time we go to Florence will be in the middle of August or sometime.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but there'll be a few races popping up on the calendar at the first of next year, and one of them might have the Budweiser logo on the car. So
You were talking about teasing this last night on social media, and I don't know if you guys saw the Reddit thread of like, what is Dale Jr. up to? Someone said the 6.7 is finally making its way on the racetrack.
That's pretty good.
Well, we'll talk about the best commercials later on in DJD Reloaded. But
well, it's the first time that we'll have driven the car on a racetrack in competition in 17 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Did you ever think this would happen again? Did you ever think you'd have Bud 8 on a car? In any capacity?
I never thought that the trademark would not be renewed, and I was I was certainly surprised when Teresa decided not to renew that trademark. Not sure why, but so we applied, and I said this on the show before. Listen, one of the things that I really appreciate about Teresa is her ability and awareness in terms of protecting trademarks and likeness. She was always really great at making sure that she took really good care of those things when it came to Dad, when it came to me or DEI or all of those things, right? So I appreciated that. I really did. Even all the way I saw that effort when we were going through the autopsy photos. We were there were people that were trying to get those released. I certainly didn't want them released, but I was really impressed with how hard Teresa fought that, and thankful that she did, because I don't think I had I was naive, and I don't think I had the vision to understand why that was important and why she was fighting that so hard, but I'm so thankful that she did. Took a lot of effort, took a lot of traveling, and spent a ton of money to do it. So, she's always kind of been protective that way. I thought as long as she had this aid, I was very happy that it was in a safe place. I knew that it was always going to be fine. But if she doesn't want to pay for the trademark anymore, I'm like, well, we better get that, because I want it safe. I want it somewhere it can be taken care of. And when we thought about doing something with it, we were like, well, I told Kelly, my sister, I was like, man, I don't want to just make merch. Like, that just don't feel good to me. I don't feel authentic. I don't need to make merch just for no reason at all, right? So, but if we race the car, then I would feel comfortable with the merch being made, and there would be a purpose, right? And so, so that's what kind of got us talking to Bud about it. Like, hey, man, we got this opportunity to kind of come together and do something on a small scale in terms of the the grassroots level. I don't see this ever going anywhere beyond this, like Xfinity or anywhere like that. So, and I don't think I want it to do that. So, we'll have some fun with it. It'll be great to reconnect with the brand, and hopefully represent them really well. They've been so fantastic to me over the course of my life, and it's awesome that we're old friends and can do something together.
And there's a fire suit coming with this too.
Yeah, there is.
That'll be cool.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
There is.
Yeah. So we we'll have a fire suit. Luke Combs has the benefit concert this weekend in Charlotte, and asked me. So they are also there's a companion auction for this concert, and so he texted me and said, hey, got this concert. Certainly would love you to come to the concert, but we were looking for stuff for the auction. And so I told my sister that we ought to auction off this uniform for that benefit.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah. So there may just be one uniform, there may be two that will get made. So we'll see if that's something we can do. But that's what I told Kelly we ought to do with the uniform is just let the auction have it.
That's cool. That's really cool.
Yeah, because we were trying to bundle a bunch of stuff together, right, for them to be able to use, and I think that would do a good job of helping them raise some money for Western North Carolina. And so are any of you? I imagine Dirty Mo Media, a bunch of you guys probably going. You're going.
I'm going to a wedding.
You're going to a wedding. Hey, you just had one.
Are you going?
I know.
Right.
It's just wedding season.
Yeah.
We're doubling up. We're going for nothing.
Yeah.
It's actually her sister's wedding, so we'll be having fun up there.
Yeah. Me and Amy talked about taking our girls. The concert keeps growing, right? So I don't think we would be there for the entirety of it. I'm not sure exactly what we'll see or what we'll catch while we're there, but I think it'd be fun to have the girls go and see the event, like something of that magnitude. They've never been around anything like that.
Never like really concerts or.
Well, they went to some Xfinity races,
right?
As they're getting older, and they're sort of absorbing things that are happening to them, like those Xfinity races, they hardly remember. Or they wasn't really like registering like what was happening and why they were there, and but they love music. We listen to music all the time, and so I think that it might be interesting for them to experience.
That'd be cool.
That'll be probably my favorite part, is seeing how they take it in. But anyhow, there it is. The announcement's out. I was surprised, man. 8:00 this morning. Team was up early.
Mm-hmm.
Usually we're releasing things around 10 or noon or something.
You
like
had to wake up early for this.
Yeah.
And the reception is unbelievable.
Well, I
so
hope
far.
so. Yeah.
There's something about this whole deal that it's like seeing an old friend. It really is. It's like the red and the 8 and Bud and everything. It's a familiar, like, warm feeling, and I think a lot of fans out there are feeling that. And so this is it's cool, but it's even cooler above just like, hey, we put a paint scheme together. Like it really feels like something has transformed, and there's going to be a ton of support around this. I can't wait to see what happens. Yeah, I
think that it's fun too, because Harvick has been racing on the grassroots level. He just raced this past weekend at the Bull Ring in Vegas. And he had Busch on his car, the Busch Light. So, and he's doing, it's cool to, I'm sure it's the same for him to sort of have those colors and be able to go race them at that level while he's still, he's now out of full-time cup racing and he's having fun, right? And he still can do that with an old friend, like the Busch brand. And so, that's kind of fun to watch. So, we're kind of tag teaming this deal, and I'm sure he's probably going to run that those colors some more. He's already looking for the next race he wants to go to. I'm having as much fun watching him sort of discover what he can and, how much of this he can include into his life, and how much fun he's having with it. So.
And we were talking about this before the show, but you raced one paint scheme. Like, it is such a recognizable paint scheme. You had, the baseball scheme and a few other one-offs, but for the most part, like, it is the recognizable Bud 8 that we see on the table there. And so, like, we're talking about nostalgia. I mean, like, that is the car that is coming back.
Yeah.
And the car looks so good. It looks identical, basically.
Yeah, well, thanks. Team, it's not a hard car to rebrand or put on this late model stock car that's very, very basic, simple, but clean looking race car. And as we were having that conversation, I learned a bunch when I worked with Bud about brand identity and brand continuity. They really, of course everyone's going to go, well, back in those days, everybody had the same sponsor for the majority of the year. Whereas today a lot of cars are piecemealing multiple different partners together into one season, and so you have a lot. You'll run 4 races for this brand and 6 races for this brand, so you got multiple different cars and designs with every team. Yes, 25 years ago, all of us had pretty much the same sponsor all year long. But with that said, the one-offs and the special schemes were really getting prevalent. Before Lionel's time, die-casts were a big part of the merchandise business back then, and teams, sponsors, drivers, everybody was trying to create as many unique die-cast pieces as possible. And it was just fun to change it up a little bit, or drive, or represent a campaign that one of your partners was trying to, a new part of their business that they were trying to promote. But Budweiser insisted, we want everybody to see that car on the track every week. We want them to instantly be able to recognize that car in the field. We believe in continuity and the brand identity and the instant recognition. And man, that makes a whole lot of sense, because now, all these years later, if I had drove, 10 or 8 different Bud cars throughout the year, each year, would this scheme be all that transcending or recognizable, or would it be as iconic today? Likely a little bit less iconic. And so I appreciate their insistence on, they knew how to sell beer, right? They knew how to make sure they were easy to spot, easy to find, and they knew what they were doing. I really, really appreciated that. I learned a ton working for them, and still have still feel strongly about a lot of those principles, and try to infuse that into what we're doing here at Junior Motorsports with our own race cars and stuff like that, to a point, but it's certainly a different time these days. But yeah, it's gonna be fun. We're gonna have a lot of fun with that. We'll try to go out there with a fast race car and have a great result in the race.
And one last thing, we're talking about the merchandise. You can get that now at shopjuniornation.com.
Right on. Hey everybody, I want to talk to you a little bit about safety culture. You may know Safety Culture's logo from Shane Van Gisbergen's car, but Safety Culture is more than just a sponsor. It's also the workplace operations tool for the Trackhouse Racing team. And what does that actually mean? Well, the team uses Safety Culture's app to manage everything from pre-race inspections on the car to assembly checks, and they even do some of their training on the app. Every race team has an incredible amount of individuals that maybe don't even travel to the racetrack, work back at the shop, that are a big part of the success of that race team, preparing cars, getting them ready to go to the racetrack and run these races and try to win checkered flags and ultimately championships. No matter what you're trying to achieve, no one has time to waste. From construction sites to factory floors, Safety Culture is designed to drive improvements not just in safety, but broadly across quality and efficiency too. Are you ready to put your workplace in the pole position? Well, head to safetyculture.com/SVG. So with Vegas, the Xfinity Series and the Cup Series raced on Saturday and Sunday. And listen, I told y'all this is my 50th year on the planet, and I was not going to have a party this year. And instead of a party, I was going to go do things and see the world. And we've done that. We went to Ireland, London. We went to Scotland. I've been to Mexico twice. Cabo, Cancun, Montana. Never been to Montana. Went to Montana this year. But we did travel, and I'm thankful, and I'm kind of wrapping that up. We're kind of cruising into the holiday season, so we're going to try to get back to some normalcy, which I'm excited about. We went to a lot of places this year. Over this past weekend, I was in Cancun celebrating a very close friend's 40th birthday, and it's a kind of a bit of Amy's family, a lot of his friends and so forth. But it was a great trip. It was good, but while I was there, man, I did not have access to seeing the Xfinity race like I expected. Right? I mean, I know that
it's hard.
It's hard, right? Internationally, it's impossible. Let's say it is just not possible. It's not hard.
It's like you got to go to a bar that has the right channel.
They don't.
That's
got
how
it.
I've always tried to navigate.
They ain't got it. It ain't there.
Mexico doesn't have a CW.
No, I don't think so. So, there's I didn't get to see much of the Xfinity race. I'm sitting there staring at my phone, following it on the app, using the NASCAR app and trying to understand exactly what's going on with strategy and so forth, and what kind of issues some of our teams were having. The 8 car was struggling, and we had some problems with the 1 car and so forth. Justin had a really solid day. Did a really good job just to get in and out of there in a good position points wise, but Sammy and Sam didn't end up all too well when it was all said and done, so they got a little work cut out for them going into the remainder of this round. AJ Allmendinger surprised me how well he's run. Colleague has struggled this year, and but they have that is I don't want to see out of character, but it certainly is an improvement upon how they've been performing. Give them credit. Colleague, I look at Colleague a little bit as some competition because we're the same manufacturer, and man, we go to Daytona and Talladega for so many years and just could not beat them. Felt like that was where, my dad always put an emphasis as an owner on those races and always wanted to win at Daytona and win at Talladega, and Colleague was really the cars to beat there for quite a while. And so there's some friendly competition, and I got to give them credit, man. AJ had a really quick car, and I'm a bit surprised by AJ's performance at this point in the season because they really hadn't been a playoff contender or a championship contender.
Mm-hmm.
And he has now, obviously locked himself into the finals. But he's ran well enough to not be like you can't view him as undeserving of this opportunity. I mean, if he's winning, if he wins at the Roval or he goes out and does it on a road course, you're going to say you expect it. But when he goes to Vegas and does what he does, I think that's a bit of a shocker. When you think about who are the 4 cars that should go to Phoenix for a title, I wouldn't have put AJ in that group at all. I don't think a lot of people would have.
I mean, there's clear in the Xfinity Series, it's Allgaier, Custer, Chandler, Smith have been the class of the field.
Yeah, and
then there's kind of room for a 4th. You've got Austin Hill, Jesse Love, Sam Mayer, Sammy Smith, AJ.
Yeah.
I feel like there's room for that one wild card guy this year.
I always felt like Austin
Series.
Hill had the edge on all those guys, and they've had some odd, results this year. Some races where they haven't shown up, but he's an aggressive guy. Austin Hill, I wouldn't, Austin Hill at -8, I would be a little bit nervous racing around him because he's aggressive. I mean, let's be honest, the guy's physical. But it's been it's been interesting to see how they put themselves in the position. I would have expected at this point in the year that Austin Hill would be in a much better position points wise at this round. But AJ winning, much like in the Cup Series with Logano, has kind of flipped this a little bit. And now you got a guy that a lot of people probably didn't expect to get this far already locked in. Justin's at +32. Hopefully in a good spot. We've seen 32 points go away quickly in a race, but and Cole Custer gets in. I mean, I just feel like Cole Custer, to me, if the 7 isn't the favorite, Cole Custer's the favorite. Guy went.
Yeah.
I mean, he's pretty damn fast everywhere he goes, annoyingly so. And the Chandlers from there on down, though, I think it's it's kind of a crapshoot between Chandler Smith and Austin Hill and Jesse Love. Sam and Sammy, I think they're in must-wins. I could be wrong, but I think
minus 23. I think you can claw your way out.
Maybe
with some stage racing and really being smart and good results. Minus 53 is tough.
Yeah, these other boys are going to minus 53.
Yeah, you
must
win.
win.
Yeah,
but Sam's going to need a couple of these guys to have some bad days,
mm-hmm.
and I don't know if you can rely on that. 2 races, they just got to put together 2 decent races. But this Xfinity playoff picture's pretty compelling. Can anybody, though, go to Phoenix and upset Cole? Cole was pretty much dead on last year at Phoenix. Nobody was going to beat that car.
Earlier this year, Justin had himself a race put together.
Yeah,
and
he
blew
did.
that tire. So, yeah. It was whooping the field.
You can never count out the 7 if he's in it.
Let me say this,
I
though.
think.
Phoenix at the first of the year versus Phoenix, the championship race, there's a different preparation, a whole different mindset. All the tricks come off the shelf.
The updates.
Oh God, yeah. I hate to be a tech guy on championship weekend, especially for the Xfinity series.
So if you're Jim Pullman and you're Justin Allgaier or even Cole Custer and Chandler Smith, like you're still trying to make it into Phoenix, but if you're plus 32, you feel like I've got a decent shot. How much emphasis are you already putting on Phoenix? If you're these guys, or is it not much at all? Like I know AJ and the 16 team and Joey Logano, they can put all their focus on it. But I don't know, if you're a team that you feel pretty good, like can you put any focus on Phoenix, or is it really just the next 2 immediate races?
I think you have to divide and conquer a little bit. So you can't wait till Phoenix week to get ready for Phoenix,
right? And I know they're already building the cars and they're getting ready, but like AJ can now do all of his sim time for Phoenix. Same with Logano. Like they can put, the next 2 races don't matter at all. It's a very important race to win, Vegas is.
Yeah, good for them. You're right. They don't have to worry about what happens in these next 2 events. They can certainly start, debriefing and simming and, going through scenarios and watching tape and figuring out what their strategy might be. All those things where the other teams are still having to focus on what's coming at them this weekend. But, Homestead's been a good track for junior motorsports. I'm hoping our guys can go in there and stay off the wall. If you do hit that wall, it's okay to hit it, but you can knock the sidewall out of the tire. It's easy to do. So having that discipline to stay off of the wall and just kind of maybe dial it back just a notch. Now, Sam is not going to do that, right? Sam's going to go all in.
Yep.
Sammy will as well, and they should. But Justin, on the other hand, needs just to make sure that when he gets to stage 3, that he's not hit the fence, right? And not brought himself down pit road changing a tire. That's probably the worst part about it, isn't having to come to pit road to put the tire on. Because you can get the lap back, you can get back through the field, but you are now down a set of tires. And so the Xfinity Series doesn't have excess sets of tires. You're behind on tires. You're done, because when everybody, we have that late yellow, or we get, everybody's going to come in, put tires on with 40 laps to go, 30 laps to go, whatever. You don't have a set to put on. You're done. So you can't have a puncture at all because of that reason alone. That'll end your race. And so that'll be that's why it's so important, I think, for Justin and Jesse Love and all these guys, like to not put them, not try to avoid that possibility, which is very probable at Homestead because of how they run the fence all day long. Hey, NFL fans, you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, you can view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you're placing your bets. You get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com/Dale. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. 21 plus and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov. Moving on to the Cup race. Joey Logano wins on strategy, and there's a huge, kind of, I don't say it's a debate, but there's two kinds of people right now in the NASCAR Cup world as fans. There's the ones that think that Joey is just doing Joey things, and him going off into the Final Four is just the way things are. It's automatic. Then there's the people that think that he doesn't belong there and doesn't deserve to be there. There's a bunch of debate about that. Me and you had this conversation, Andrew.
Yeah.
You could go back to Nashville where they had the accident on the back straightaway, and
this is all Austin Cindric's doing.
Yes.
The repercussions are still coming in from Austin Cindric spinning at Nashville.
Yeah. So, Joey wins that race. A bunch of turnover at the end of that race in terms of the front of the field, and it put Joe in a position, and he wins the race and locks himself into the playoffs.
There's a great stat. Sorry, I heard it. Okay, this is good. How many total laps, has Joey Logano led in his 3 wins this year?
22.
Oh, no. That is a good number, though. It is less than that.
Wow.
It is 14 total laps. He led 9 at Nashville, 9 at Atlanta, and 6 this past weekend in Vegas.
So,
that's crazy.
It is. There's a ton. I mean, it doesn't pass the eye test. You don't. I appreciate it, but you don't have to show anybody's stats. You can know that Joe Logano has just not been that great this year. But this is the way that they've set up the pins at the bowling alley. This is how it is, and he knocked them down. The part that I'm the only part that I can't get over is he wasn't in until the 48 got penalized, and then he gets in through that penalty, and then he goes and wins. And so, when the checker flag fell at the Roval, him winning this race would have mattered none.
Yeah.
But now he's going to race for a championship. And that, to me, is the hard part to come to terms with.
I'm with you.
I'm not really bothered that he only led a couple laps or he only won this race and that race out of happenstance or whatever. I can deal with that sort of clunky oddness in sports, right? It happens rarely, but it does, and it's like a Hail Mary or anything else, lucky bounce or immaculate reception, all those kind of funky little moments. But how he has now found himself into the Final Four over the last 2 weeks, and the things that happened during those past 2 weeks with that suspension or that penalty for the 48, that to me is like hard for me to comprehend. And and I really can't decide whether I want him to win the title or not.
He's going to. It's an even year. It's just enough amount of chaos for
Isn't that odd too?
He's going to win the
stats
championship.
about the even years.
It is so crazy. NBC put a stat out, and it's literally every other year since the beginning of this format, he's made it in. It's just, like you said, at the end of the Roval, he's out. And you're like, oh, the streak is over. But then it's not because, one Sunday later. And I know it's Joey Logano. He's a 2-time champion. That's the point you're going to make.
Wasn't what I was going to say.
Oh. And he's had a great playoffs. Like, we went through and did all the average finishes just in the playoffs alone of the top 8 drivers. And he's the 5th best out of the 8. Bell is, well beyond anybody else. He's got an average finish 5.7 out of the playoff races so far.
Insane.
Which is crazy. The next closest is Byron at 10.2, but it's I don't know. It's just he has had so many dominoes fall his way. And I know you need two things to win a championship. You need skill and you need luck. And my God, has Joey Logano had so much luck this year.
Is it luck?
I don't know.
Or
You got to look at
like
Cindric spinning and him ending up winning that race.
Okay.
That's lucky.
Okay.
Denny Hamlin was going to win that race.
remember he got wrecked coming to take the checkered
Sure.
by Austin Dillon at Richmond. He would have
Yeah.
locked himself in the playoffs there.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's. I think it's definitely there is some luck.
I am fine with all that. That is sports.
I know.
To me,
Exactly.
to me, that is
I know.
sports. It's the penalty that kicked him back
Sure.
in, and then he goes and win.
I know.
It's kind of very familiar to when they added Gordon.
Yeah, it's like this. It's like
a
got that
little bit close
yeah.
to that. I don't like that.
Yeah.
You know, and like, what if they added him in? They added Jeff in there. I'm thinking, if he wins this championship, what the?
Yeah.
And so, I don't feel that way about Joey. I kind of can't decide whether I want him to win the championship. I kind of might.
Well, he's calling in about 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So you can.
Yeah.
I think they know how to play the game. Like this is, and so people are mad at Joey and saying, oh, he shouldn't be there, right? But this is the game. Like,
Yeah.
you only have to lead one lap.
I mean, it's like
You
yeah.
only have to get that. That's it.
That's a good point. I mean,
I know. Yeah.
Jimmy Johnson won 5 championships in a row. He was fast, but they also played the game. They also knew how to sort of be what they needed to be when they needed to be it.
I'm not
Well, the thing is, like, I don't want to turn this into a big I don't like the playoffs.
Right,
I don't,
right.
I don't want to do that. That's a waste of energy because the playoffs they're not gonna.
Ain't going
They're
nowhere.
gonna change it. They're not gonna listen to my show and go, oh well, we should probably change it. But man, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't have a problem with it. Maybe I should. It is. I mean, it's not like he's manipulated anything or
No, and like to his credit, he's done everything
yeah.
right. I mean, like you can't discount
Yeah.
what they've done. It's just here's where we got so excited last week, especially before the Bowman DQ. It was like, oh my God, the top 8 drivers in the points are our final 8. Like this is awesome.
Oh, that don't matter to me.
I don't know, but then Joey gets in. He's like, oh, all right, well, it's 7, and then there's Logano, and then Logano goes and wins. And I know it's the playoffs, and this is the format.
I know, but I will never understand people being like, oh, well, just little old Joey Logano found himself into the playoffs. Like
I know
he's a proven 2-time champion.
I know.
He does this all the time. Like it's not. And I like
uncommon.
Joey,
and they're extremely talented group.
If
And Penske this time of year is unbelievable.
I think what's saving this whole thing is his credentials.
Yeah,
right?
Dalton, that's a good point, Dalton, because if you take his credentials away, it's really
It's hard to swallow. Yeah.
really kind of too fluky,
Right.
But he's got the damn credentials, and we talked about it for weeks leading up to this. How's Joey going to get in this year? How's it going to happen? Because we knew it was just, he's dangerous.
I think what sits funny and what still sits funny for me too is like Bell dominated the race, but it ultimately was a strategy play that won him in. It's not like he had the outright fastest car and won. Mm-hmm. And again, that's part of it, and I'll be fine with it.
That's
I'll
sports.
be fine with it. I know it's sports, but it's like
I don't have a problem with those parts. That's racing.
I know.
Strategy, fuel mileage.
Yeah.
No one's arguing that part.
Oh. What am I saying?
No one is.
Well,
It's just there's something that for me sits funny about just because like we haven't really talked about Joey Logano a lot this year, and now he's the first guy. But again, that's playoffs, and
we did say multiple times especially over the last couple of weeks, that Joey was gonna,
find a way.
You cannot count him out. You cannot count him out.
I really didn't believe my own words, but maybe we willed it into existence.
These stats are crazy, though. Just to go back to them, Bell with a 5.7 in the playoffs.
I'll read them out.
That's what you got to do.
It's insane.
Bell 5.7 average finish. Byron 10.2. Hamlin 13. Larson 13.1. Logano 14.2. Elliott 15. Blaney 18.85. Reddick 20.57, and then if you throw Bowman in there, even with the DQ, he would sit about 5th at 13.85 average finish.
Christopher Bell's finished outside of the top 10
Once
in the playoffs.
Yeah, it's impressive.
Well,
And Logano's win really shook up these playoffs. I mean, there is a huge gap between 4th and 5th right now. Before Logano's win, it was going to be like 13, 14 points. Now it's plus and minus 27.
that part of the playoff system I like, oddly. It's unorthodox. It kind of goes against my traditional values or beliefs in our sport, but if Joey doesn't win, it looks like it's a much clearer playoff picture, especially for Denny, Tyler Reddick. But since that launches Joey that far ahead and locks him in, Denny's minus 27, Tyler's minus 30, Blaney and Chase Elliott beyond 45 out. But that I like to see. Those are damn good race car drivers, damn good race teams, and they are in a really tough spot. To me, that's the best thing about NASCAR, is seeing a talented, great, elite individual in an uncomfortable position. And what will they do? How will they perform? That's what's going to draw me to the television on Sunday. Is that right there? Denny being down 27. If it was -8 or relatively close,
That's a stage.
it's not as
2 stages.
I'm not as
each point
intrigued.
weigh in.
I'm not as intrigued. I'm more intrigued by seeing somebody do something unnatural or unsurmountable. Somebody, if Denny and any of these guys can win their way in or find a way in, I feel like they're all hanging on to very thin hopes at this point, even with 2 races left. But you've got Homestead, a fantastic racetrack for the playoffs.
I can't wait.
And Martinsville, another fantastic short track. Now, Martinsville in the regular season, we got a lot of problems. But Martinsville in the playoffs has steadily been a pretty impactful event, right?
Look at Blaney, what he did last year.
Passing on the outside, punched his ticket to win the championship. So I'm excited about these next couple of races.
I mean, looking at these playoff standings, you said Denny, Reddick, basically anyone outside the top 4 is going to have to do something impressive. Does the top 4 stay the same? Is this our championship 4 that we're looking at here? Logano, Bell, Larson, Byron?
Yeah, I think
and if
so.
anyone else,
That's easy. I mean, for me, that's an easy yes.
If anybody can point their way in or win their way in,
it's any one of those guys. Look, Tyler Reddick doesn't have I don't think Tyler Reddick has a great track record at Martinsville, but he knows how to run the damn wall. He knows how to run. He knows how to run a fence, and so he could win this weekend. Denny, Blaney, those 2 run relatively good. They were running good last year at Homestead before they had issues. And they both are, raced for the win last year at Martinsville. Chase is the one that I don't just think he's just not. I don't see him.
Yeah, something's not clicking.
Yeah, they're just not.
Nothing against them.
No, they're great. They're great. They're great people. Great race car driver, great team, but they're just missing something. So I mean, there's 3 of the 4 drivers I think I have good confidence could win one of these 2 races, but. Yeah, I also say those 4, Byron, Larson, Bell with Logano, those 4 would are likely to be our 4.
I mean, if you're Bell and Larson, just kind of need to put together 2 solid races.
Yeah,
don't you think? Just
that's
no trouble, no problems.
Yeah, Bell's in great shape. The tough part for imagine the tough spot that Chase Elliott's in right now. They don't really have the speed. And they're trying to claim a spot that right now, currently, his 2 teammates have 2 of those 4 spots, right? One of them's gone. Joey's got it. So for Chase to getting to the Final Four, he's got to maybe take a spot away from a teammate. I don't know if people really understand how uncomfortable and how difficult that position is when you're going to build 3 race cars in the same race shop, and they're likely all going to battle each other indirectly for a few of these spots. And Chase has got his back to the wall, and his teammates aren't going to be in a position to help him, right? And honestly, I mean, I know they'll be transparent, they'll be sharing information, to a point, but the Williams team and Larson's team, they got to protect themselves, right? They can't. That is a very tough spot, and we've lived it here at Junior Motorsports, right? When our cars are trying to battle their way through the playoff rounds, it gets quirky when the teammates are competing for the same thing.
Is it a tough spot because you're used to working together all year, and now
it's awkward? It's quite,
enemies?
Yeah, not enemies. You're just not quite as. You're not as the communication, the that
people are holding
general
stuff back.
Conversation. Everything sort of whittles down. Everybody's got their head down. Everybody's working.
The noise gets a little quiet in the shop.
Yeah, man, it's a completely different shop than 5 weeks into the season. Everybody's back slapping and, hey man, let's get this thing going. Let's all go together. Let's help each other. Now it's like, I'm busy, bud. I got.
Does that hurt big teams? Is that, when you look at, no?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
Like if there's, in years past when 2 teammates are racing at Phoenix or Homestead for the championship together, does that hurt them? Is if Logano's the only Penske car, is that an advantage?
Disadvantage. Major disadvantage.
Really?
Yeah. You have to have, your teammates push you. So, while
literally, like Blaney did at Phoenix.
Blaney literally pushed Logano. Yeah.
Well, if you have a competitive teammate, we're going back to that conversation we had earlier, you want to beat them. And so you got people in your own shop that you want to beat, and that's a healthy thing to a point, right? It can be problematic and destructive to a team, but it's healthy to a point that your teammate is good, and you look at him and you go, "Damn it, I want to beat him. I want to be that good. They're running good. They're the apple of the eye, the owner's eye, right? They're the favorite son." And so, you want to go out. You want Rick Hendrick to be calling you, saying, "Good job," not the other guy. And,
of course.
Yeah, and so, you're motivated. And I think a good competitive teammate absolutely motivates the other teams in the shop. And it too, if you got one car out there doing great, you can look at the other guys and go, well, he's taking these tools and going and running good. Let's go. We got no excuse here. The whole company, the whole company benefits from somebody being successful.
Like a rising tide raises all ships type of thing.
It's very motivating to not be the one that's the worst or not performing when the others are. I've lived that. I've been a teammate that was the good teammate. I've been a teammate that was the not so good teammate. And it's really motivating to try to figure out how to go out. And you'll look at the practice sheets. Where's my teammates? Man, am I as good as them? You're looking at everything, all the metrics. You're like, hey, how do I measure up against those guys? Right? I need to be somewhere where they are or above at all times.
So if this is our championship 4, with Larson and Byron being 2 teammates, you're saying they benefit from the other being in the championship with them.
They're just all pushing each other. They're pushing. Chase Elliott, too, is motivated to get up there and figure out a way to be with them.
Mm.
Yeah, he doesn't want to be. He doesn't want to.
You don't want to be the guy that.
Bowman's over there going, well, I was going to be in there, got that penalty. Chase doesn't want to be the guy that sees the other 2 carry on and move forward, right, and represent his, the company. He wants to be the champion, dude.
What'd you think about Reddick pulling in Earnhardt, flipping down the front stretch, and then driving the car away?
Yeah, Well, that's a tough race car, man. I think that it's cool. Our drivers are gritty and tough, and so I thought that that's kind of a neat moment. Didn't bother me the car flipped like it did. Just a kind of an odd, weird transition from the turf to that little Legends oval, and not a big deal. But I keep seeing clips on social media where people are showing us any other car in the history of the sport that's ever slid through the same situation and how they kind of popped in the air and landed back on all four tires. But it doesn't really bother me. I'm not going to get all spun out about a car.
Yeah, do you think this specific thing is a next-gen problem, or it's more just the way the track and how he hit it
I think it's just
caused the flip?
Yeah, this is how the cars.
I think this was more definitely racetrack than
it's racetrack. It's how the car's sprung. It's a setup of the car a bit. I don't think the pan helps. Underneath the car, that if any air gets under there, it's going to create a little lift. But so that might have aided a little bit on just getting it a little higher in the air for that car to kind of rotate and tip over. But I'm not too bent out of shape about it. Blaney had a couple of hard hits, or he had a hard hit in practice.
Yeah.
The guy has run, had some hard hits.
Yeah.
And I hate to see that. But I've been seeing where he's had some quotes and some media's had access to him. And he says he's racing this weekend. He's gonna, he's bound and determined to go to Homestead and keep fighting. And I hope he's feeling all right after this past weekend.
I know I saw somewhere that he was asking for Advil and stop on Sunday. I don't know if that was related to a crash or he just wasn't feeling good or just I don't want to speculate, but I know that was something he requested during the race.
Yeah, I mean there's been no hard concrete, hey, this is what's going on, but we do know that he wasn't feeling too well after the crash, and that he did ask for some Advil during the race, and so the media has pinged on that and asked him about how he's feeling, and he says my plans are to be racing next weekend. Another hard crash during the race, Austin Dillon.
Oh my gosh.
What in the hell was that all about?
Hey,
why did Hemrick do that?
Dylan was not pleased with him.
No,
I mean,
they wouldn't.
I mean, that was
how could you blame him?
That was completely Henrik's doing, right? Like,
I
I'm
don't know
not
what
trying
happened.
to pin it on someone, but
Yeah.
it just looks like he just drove in too far and got him loose.
So weird.
That is a fast spot on
Yeah.
the racetrack.
I'm not sure if there was something going on between them two that Hemrick was upset about, or if it was just Hemrick didn't expect him to check up into the corner like that or what. But my God, that was a nasty, nasty hit for Austin. And he has every right to be upset.
I mean, his wheel broke. Like, it broke the aluminum wheel, and part of it was in Larson's car. That's why they had to come down pit road.
Yeah.
I'm watching the in-car right now, and Hemrick just he
I
bumps
watched
him on
I
entry.
watched it too. Look, I don't know what was going on there. I don't know why it happened. Didn't have to happen. But good Lord.
It was good to see Austin released from the infield care center.
Hopefully he's feeling all right.
Yeah.
All right, so we got Joey Logano, the winner from Vegas, calling in. And Joey, first off, I want to thank you for your time. I know that this is a very tough part of the year, and you would rather be doing anything but interviews. And but we're thankful that you're going to give us some time today. I'm sure you're getting pulled in a lot of different directions, considering you're coming off of a win. But hey, let's ask you what everyone else in the NASCAR world wants to know. How in the hell do you keep doing this? I mean, you just have this odd, unique ability to do what needs to be done when it needs to be done. And I mean, it's like what any great athlete would strive to be, or I'm trying to think of how to compare this to somebody in stick and ball sports, but you truly are remarkable in our sport. I don't know that there's anybody like you when it comes down to crunch time.
Well, first off, I love talking to you, and I have a little bit more time now that I can just think about Phoenix and not the next two coming up, which is great. But I don't know. I mean, I wish I knew the answer, because it seems like we've made the championship four in many different ways now, right? And it's not like the same scenario that happens. And when you look at Vegas, this whole playoffs, right? Really, from what happened at the Roval to being out, and all of a sudden, we're back in. And I told my wife beforehand, I said, man, how crazy it'd be that we're back in, we go win Vegas, and we flip this whole sport upside down, that people even know what to think. And lo and behold, we did it. So,
well,
so wild how quickly it turned around. But I got a great team, and I know that's the cliche answer, but I really do. And when you look at the victory from Vegas this weekend, it took everybody. The car had to be right. We had to pack the fuel. We had to calculate it correctly. We had to communicate it right. I had to do the part behind the wheel and make sure that we saved just enough and not too much and not too little. And, it just takes everybody to do that. So proud of that, right? I mean, it takes execution all the way through the race. It's not just the fast car that wins NASCAR races. It's the strategy as well. And we got a really well-rounded race team.
I wonder, too, stepping back a little bit to the week after the Roval, actually the first few days of that week, how aware of what Hendrick's decision was going to be on the appeal, to appeal or not to appeal, how aware of all of that were you? Did you find out at roughly the same time that we all did that they chose not to appeal? And how, I guess, what was your reaction? What was your first interaction around that decision?
Yeah. So, I mean, to be honest with you, when I got the news, I was like, okay, like, cool, but seen this story before.
Right.
Like,
you still wasn't sure.
We might be lucky here, but most things that are too good to be true are not true. So I felt like that's how it was going to be. So I didn't get my hopes up too high. But obviously you do dream of what could be. I'm like, man, this would be awesome. You hope, right? I mean, not that you wish bad on somebody, but boy, I'm sitting here as the beneficiary of this thing. Like, this could be big. We put ourselves in that spot that we'd be next in line. So when that opportunity came up, and you find out the same way everybody else did that they weren't going to appeal it, it seems like it's a pretty black and white thing anyway. So when they weren't going to appeal, it's like, well, here we go, second life. Don't waste it.
Wow. So let's talk about the Penske organization and the playoffs. We've seen it with you, seen it with Blaney. I feel like that this team or this company knows how to be great when it matters. Obviously, you have a knack for doing what is necessary in all scenarios in the playoffs. But the organization, Penske, they find speed that just wasn't there, and it's really hard to do in this car. This car to me is still a bit of a mystery, and in terms of being able to really find a true advantage over your competition. But how do how confident, I guess, are you in that? Because that's kind of always been the mainstay. When the playoffs come, Penske shows up. One of their cars is going to be good enough to get them to that championship. So where do you feel like the company is in terms of that?
Yeah, I think we're in a good spot. I don't think you ever look at it and say, man, we're where we want to be, because I don't think that goal was ever achieved, right? It's the journey trying to reach perfection. And, is the season long enough to where you go through ups and downs? Absolutely. There was times throughout the year where we had speed, but we couldn't put a race together. There is times in the year that we had no speed and, gosh, we were executing well, but it wasn't good enough. And it seems like right now we're able to do both. Right? I don't think our speed's exactly where we wanted it to be. We weren't the fastest car in Vegas, but our long run speed was good, and that was huge improvements from what we've been at mile and a half for the last 2 years, especially for the 22 cars. So, I'm proud of the gains that we've made. We've really become competitive at mile and a half again, which makes me so excited, because I got to the point where I'm dreading these races, and now I can get to the point where we're excited again about going to mile and a half. So that part's great. So it's just a lot of effort, and when you get back behind the 8 ball a little bit and you're getting beat by whatever name the team, panic sets in, right? That's one thing that's real. Like that panic mode sets in to where like we got to figure something out. We don't want to throw the whole year out. You don't know how many years you got left. You don't want to waste it, and that panic sets in, and it seems like that drives us. I don't know why that's what it is, but it's like, boy, we don't want to suck. We just are able to find stuff. Everyone goes to work. Everyone keeps their head down and grinding, and we've found ourselves in good situations. And here we are once again in a solid position to go out and have a real chance at a championship.
Last question for you, man, before we let you go. We hear about this all the time, talk about this. The guy that wins this, the race at Vegas, he doesn't have to worry about the next two events. He gets to start focusing on Phoenix. How real is that? Is that really an advantage for you and your team to go ahead and start having those conversations, the sim work and strategy and all those things that you're preparing to do for Phoenix?
Absolutely. 100%. It is a significant advantage. And here's the reasons why. For one, everyone's got their tongues hanging out trying to get, their Homestead cars as good as they can. Their Martinsville car as good as they can. Their strategy for their all that stuff, right? And there's only 100% you can give, right? So to be able to think about Phoenix now, you'd have to take something away from those races, and they can't afford to take something away from that. So, for us, we can afford to take something away from the next two races to be better in Phoenix. So we earned that opportunity. There's only one race that really matters to win this championship for us now. So the smart move is to move all your focus as much as possible to that race. And so does that mean that we're going to go lay up the next 2 weeks? No, right? But we're probably just going to do what the 12 asks us to do as far as car setup, practice plans, what can we do to help the 12 get into the championship 4? And how do we stay focused on Phoenix as the 22 car? So, that's kind of our position that we've earned. We need to take advantage of that because that's what's, I think, is going to make the difference. What I've seen make the difference in our 2 championships, and hopefully it does it again. Well,
we thank you for your time today. You're always so gracious with the media. You do such a great job. Some great answers, great insight onto where you are and where your team's at. Good luck going forward. Have some fun over the next couple of weeks and getting ready for Phoenix. We'll be pulling for you when you go race for the championship.
All right, thanks. I'll see you in the carpool lane.
Yeah, see you there, buddy. All right. All right, so it's time for Dirty Modo with Alex Timms. Tampa Timms. Do you get mad if I call you Alex Timms during Dirty Modo?
No, you call me whatever you want.
You're Tampa Timms.
I got a lot.
You don't know him like that.
Yeah. All right. Well, Dirty Modo coming out every Thursday, giving you the best bets for the upcoming race weekend, covering everything that they feel like we ought to be doing. But first, we have the group bet of the week. And, again, Thursday Night Football group parlay. Thursday Night Football at 8:15 p.m. on Prime. The Vikings and the Rams. So we had a bet last week. I think everybody's prop cleared except for Dalton.
Yeah.
That's right. Yep.
Not a good game either. That would have been a good win for us.
I know. I wrote a poem about it, so I'm gonna read that real quick. Alvin Kamara, you let me down. Your prop didn't hit, and that made me frown. All my friends' legs cashed, but yours was what I was after. Although it's not fair, I don't blame you. I blame Spencer Rattler.
Oh,
why?
Wow.
So he didn't have a good game. They never got. I didn't even think they got in the red zone.
That was one of the props, is he wasn't going to have a touchdown pass.
Well, I know, but I was hoping that Kamara would at least get close enough to get a touchdown.
Our props were kind of working against each other in a sense.
We didn't think about that.
We didn't.
We weren't teammates on that.
Well, we have the Vikings and the Rams, and we're all putting together a leg for the prop, Tampa Timms.
Even Andrew has one.
Dalton. Andrew's going to drop in with a money line bet, and so who wants to go first?
Dalton, why don't you kick it off?
All right, I'm going back to the anytime touchdown. I hate to do it, but I got to stick through. I'm going Kyron Williams, anytime TD.
Okay.
Minus 165.
Rams running back.
Rams running back.
All right.
Not bad.
I like that because I feel like, well, I don't know, man. I'm worried about the Rams and how, the Vikings have been so good this year.
It's hit 6 out of the last 6 games.
There you go.
Oh, I like that.
So
that's good.
I'm not just flying blind here.
I'll go with mine. I'll go with Justin Jefferson, 70-plus receiving yards.
I like that.
I think that's cleared in all but one game this year.
Darnold's slinging it.
Yeah,
70 plus.
70 plus.
All right, and I'm going to go with Darnold, quarterback for the Vikings, under 28.5 passing attempts. This is at minus 108, but it's hit 5 of the last 6. But he's right up against it just about every game, right around 27, 28 attempts. I'm just hoping that they can get themselves out to an early lead and grind the ball on the ground a little bit. But even in some of their close games, where they've lost to the Lions or playing Green Bay, he's barely or he came close to this prop without clearing it. But Darnold at under 28.5 passing attempts will be my leg. And Andrew's got the money line.
I've got the money line. One of my good friends lives in Minnesota, so give me the Vikings to win the game.
All right.
Expert analysis.
Yes, absolutely. That is
Awesome.
that is the reasoning. They're minus 172 right now.
Tampa Tams, you'll put this prop together. You'll
will.
post this on your handle.
Yes,
All right.
yes, I will. Dirty Mo will retweet it. And
Yep, Dirty
we'll
Mo
get the
retweet.
odds, and we'll do all that.
All right. So we got NASCAR bets coming out of Vegas. Assuming, man, Vegas, you had a pretty good weekend.
Yeah, it was a light weekend for me, but we had a good weekend. We had Byron was a big plus money matchup against Larson, so that was good for us. I had Christopher Bell to win, though. That was a heartbreak.
Yeah.
I thought I had a good price on him, too. But, Joey came out on top. Excited for Miami because I'm still riding the Bell train. He's got to win one of these eventually. I mean, for
that
sure.
does seem like a race that he could go out and win. Who is there anybody else, I guess, especially below the cut line that you got confidence in?
I like Ryan Blaney this
Yeah?
week. I like
Really?
13-1 is a good price. That's probably why I like
Yeah.
it. But I mean, he's good here. I think he's finished he's got a 9.5 average finish here in the 2 next gen races. So I think when you're that below the cut line, I think it's kind of a little easier. You know what you got to do. You got to win, and I like that price.
Right on. All right. Do you take? I mean, at Homestead's pretty straightforward. There's rarely any like fluke winners. But is there a dark horse?
There is a guy I do kind of like. Austin Dillon. He's got a 6th place average finish here.
Damn.
He got 10th and a 4th in the next gen era. So it's kind of shocking, kind of
Is
surprising.
going to go top 10, Austin Dillon?
The top 10 Austin Dillon's the bet, yes. If you want to sprinkle a little bit on his win, I think he's like 1,000 or something like that. So he's
Hey,
yeah.
put a dollar
But he's
on it.
never let a lap in the next gen era. So
Ever?
at Miami.
Oh,
at Miami.
I'm like, wait,
so,
that's not possible.
but top 10 Austin Dillon's probably the good bet.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, that's some good bets. Dirty Modo will cover that and a whole lot more this Thursday when him, Tampa Tims, and Letard and those guys get together, and we'll see what they come up with. All right, it's time for the white flag. Dropping after the race, the teardown with Jeff Gluck and Jordan Bianchi. Those two guys covering everything they saw and experienced in Vegas, and actions detrimental with Denny Hamlin. I wonder where he recorded that. Did he fly home and do that? What was the deal?
Yeah, he flew
Yeah.
home.
All right, man. West Coast trip. Didn't know if he stayed out there an extra night or something. Guy kind of likes Vegas. I imagine he likes Vegas.
Came home and got it done.
All right. Well, we thank you, Denny Hamlin. Good job. Dropping yesterday, door bumper clear. The spotters came home. TJ was on that show. I came here this morning. Wasn't sure whether I was going to see TJ or not. But I did see a clip where he was on door bumper clear, so I thought the odds were low that we might get a TJ sighting here.
Yeah.
But door bumper clear is out, and they're covering everything over the past weekend, and some of the rumors swirling around in the sport. Dropping tomorrow, Speed Street with Connor Daly and Chase Holden, and our guest show here, presented by Ally. Tony Eury Sr. comes by the Dirty Mo studio, and can't wait to get that show out to you. And then dropping Thursday, we mentioned it, Dirty Mo Doe, and DJD Reloaded. That'll be Ask Junior and more on the Thursday show of DJD Reloaded. A new episode of Andrew Curlin Went There from Corey LaJoy's Kickball Classic is on the Next Level YouTube page. All right, so if you want to see that, go to the Next Level YouTube page. It is Andrew Went There from the Corey LaJoy's Kickball Classic. Did you play? Imagine you
I did not. No,
What?
I just
Wait,
asked the
what?
questions. What?
You're an athlete.
Yeah. Well,
Why
didn't
weren't
get-
you on a team?
I didn't get the invite.
We didn't get drafted.
Yeah, I didn't get drafted.
That's
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of fun. We asked some fun questions, and it's fun to
yeah.
hang out with some of the drivers and NASCAR personalities away from the racetrack. There's no pressure, so it was a good time.
One of my favorite parts of the show is the question of the week, and we got one from William Byron.
Yeah, just curious if Dale, what video games he's playing right now. If he's playing NCAA or Madden or what he's into right now.
That's a great question, William. Thank you for asking. I did get Madden this year. I started a franchise with Washington, but I haven't messed with that in a couple weeks. Been playing a lot of NCAA. And we're still riding with the UNC 49ers, and we're in a league with TJ Majors and a bunch of other folks. Having some fun and watch a lot of YouTube videos and trying to figure out what the best stuff is to be doing and how to – dude, it's so fun.
I walked into Steven's office. Maybe he won't like me sharing this, but it was right before the big championship game, and he was watching
getting prepped,
YouTube
strategy,
plays
ready.
and
Yeah.
yes, what works, what doesn't.
That's right. So you got to stay up, man. There's a lot of great content creators out there always updating what the patches fix and what kind of cheese plays are working and trick plays or where the game might be broken where you can take advantage of it. And but it's fun, man. NCAA football, man. It's a blast. Still running on iRacing. Play a little drafty car from time to time especially when we're in there, flying somewhere. Not many apps these days allow you to play without service, right? And so that's where like drafty car comes in handy because I'll be up in the air and not such great Wi-Fi service and good little drafty car. But yeah, still working on my sim rigs and having some fun on iRacing. Me and the guys talked about racing tonight on the mini stock, taking the mini stock to Darlington or somewhere. Yeah,
dang.
A little fun combo. And a little Hell Let Loose every now and then. Still
Flanking? You still flanking?
Still flanking on Hell
Good
Let
for
Loose
you.
every once in a while. That's always fun. Yeah. But, I mean, we've been traveling a lot, so I haven't had a chance to really do much. But I've been itching to get back into it. So now that we're getting the holiday season, things slow down. You're home a lot more.
Sun goes down earlier.
Yeah.
You get to hang out at home.
Yeah.
More time for Hell Let Loose.
Yeah. So, we always seem to like get into. So for me, iRacing is kind of seasonal. This part of the year, the end of the NASCAR season, tends to be really busy in terms of travel and not just have an opportunity to be at home and sim race. And then when the off season comes and racing goes away, you sort of get this, you can't wait for racing. You want racing. So I end up racing a lot on iRacing through December, January, and on into probably May. And then I kind of slow down just a little bit throughout the summer, spending time with the family and all that. But man, it's like it's seasonal. And I think that, NCAA football and those things, I'll play the hell out of that till I just get tired of it, and I'll just drop it and never pick it back up until probably the next release or whatever. Hell Let Loose is just kind of always – I've been playing that for 4 years. So, and I'm still pretty happy with that. So I'll keep playing that. But I'm a bit surprised by that because usually like a first-person shooter – similar to NCAA football or something like that on console, I play the hell out of it and just get tired of it and drop it and quit it and just never pick it back up. But, iRacing kind of seasonal for me, and then the rest is kind of whatever.
I'm pumped for the new video game.
NASCAR.
Yeah, the
Sorry.
new iRacing.
He's just pumped
Just
for
the
new
one.
video game.
Whatever's coming out next.
Well, we were just talking about iRacing. Yeah, I can't wait for the
You
next.
can't wait
the new
for the
Kirby.
console version of the new NASCAR game
Yes.
that iRacing is helping put together.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm excited about that too.
really
A little bit
excited.
nervous because I want it to be well received, and I think it will. I think it'll be a great game. But you're always still. It's kind of like when a band writes a song, they like it, they think it's good. People are telling them it's good, but the rest of the world hasn't heard it yet. How will they respond? Right? That's got to be pretty nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
of course.
All right. Well, Dalton, you got this week's social media standout.
I do. This comes from Blue Dog 373 Productions on Twitter. We were talking about your contacts and your glasses last week, and he commented and said, "Glasses make you look extinguished. You ain't gonna like contacts." I don't think he meant extinguished. I think he meant distinguished.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know what looking extinguished looks like.
You look exhausted.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, you look like you cool out a fire
charred.
pretty good.
You look a little charred. I guess.
Well, we thank Blue Dog for sending that in.
Yeah.
That made us laugh.
I ain't gonna light contacts.
Ain't gonna like contacts.
You haven't taken the test yet, right?
It's this week, I think.
Oof. Good luck.
Big week.
Yeah.
Blood A comes back and you
We'll
got a
see how it
contact
goes.
test.
We'll see how it goes. I'm looking forward to it. All right, that's the show tomorrow. Tony Eury Sr. on the Allied Guest segment. We will see you there.